I'd like to start the meeting off, if you'd all stand, with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I don't really need my glasses to talk. I didn't realize that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sit down. All right, we're here today to talk about liberty. Whether or not, is there anyone here that thinks we have more liberty today than we had yesterday? No. We lost some, yes we did. But anyway, when we talk about liberty, we look at the Constitution, we look at the Declaration of Independence, and we look at the Pledge of Allegiance. One of the words in the Pledge of Allegiance is liberty. Where we are right now is we have, in the United States, a cancer. And it's starting to metastasize. And it's really growing, and we've seen that in the last year, but it's nothing new. Our enemies are not foreign nationals. They're not foreign armies. They may be threats to us, but the major threat to our liberty right now is coming from inside our country, from our own government, our elected officials, from the international banking industry, some of the international corporations, from our press, from the military-industrial complex. This is not something that just happened. It didn't happen in 2008, didn't happen in 2000, or this has been going on a very, very long time. This you all know is, you're all familiar with Gulliver's Travels, and the fact that Mr. Gulliver winds up on the beach in this little country of Lilliput. He's laying there, and then all of a sudden, some of the locals, which are a lot shorter than him, show up, and they say, "What are we going to do with this big giant? What happens if he wakes up?" So they start to tie ropes around him. But those ropes are, for Gulliver's part, they're just threads. So if Gulliver were to wake up at any point during the time when they're tying all of those threads around him, he could sit up, break all those threads. Now, if you look at Gulliver and say, Gulliver is right now the United States of America. It's the people and the threads that are being sewn and put over his arms and his legs, his hands, his neck, his head. In America, those are new rules, regulations, restrictions, laws. And each time they pass one, it may be the Federal Firearms Act of 1968. Some people probably said, yeah, it looks like a good thing. But when you find out the Federal Firearms Act was taken almost word for word from the German Firearms Act of 1932, Hitler's administration, maybe you'll suspect that something is going on. So what we're going to try to do tonight is to put some of this together. Now, I was out at the Continental Congress in November of 2009. I was one of the delegates. And I have to say, I learned more from being there and listening to scholars talk about the Constitution and your rights. So let me just start off. Who said this? The budget should be balanced, the Treasury should be refilled, Public debt should be reduced. The arrogance of officials should be tempered and controlled. Assistance to foreign land should be curtailed lest we become bankrupt. And people must again learn to work instead of living off public assistance. Any wild guesses? Yes.
President.
Who?
President.
The current president? No. The people. Any individual? Jefferson, George Washington. It's actually a fellow by the name of Cicero. 55 BC, complaining about the Roman government. What have we learned in 2,065 years? Nothing. They had the same problems. You know, there was one of the old Greek philosophers who said years ago, many years ago, I can't do anything with these young people. They're up all night drinking, carousing around. It was Aristotle. So nothing's really changed. But in government, big government, we're making the same mistakes that we made 2,000, or the Romans made 2,000 years ago. Two easy questions, and this is two questions that was given to me by a fellow named Michael Bedardnik. He teaches a Constitution class, a very intelligent fellow. And he says, ask these two questions because most people will think the answers are obvious. And you always have to be careful when you're looking back and you hear things and you read things that maybe the answer is not obvious. So let's say, what's the date that the Declaration of Independence was signed? What day? What month? July 4th, 1776. Is that a good answer? Very good answer. Who was the first president of the United States? George Washington? Anybody else? I know, you know, Doc. You can't give the answer, though. Okay, let's look at the answers. Declaration of Independence, it was agreed to on July 4th, 1776, but it actually wasn't signed until August 2nd because they had to go make the copy that you see in Washington. The calligraphy had to be done just right. So they had to come back in August and sign that document. Now, did they agree to it on July 4th? Yes. What I'm just saying is that it's not exactly correct, but it's correct enough. Doesn't make a difference, right? First president of the United States. Ever hear of Samuel Huntington? No. What happened between 1776 and 1789 when George Washington became the president? Who was running the show? We had presidents. Samuel Huntington was one of 10 presidents. He actually held that office 3 times. So is the answer obvious? Well, maybe not. It's just one of those little tidbits that people can use against you.